Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Thriving in Tough Times, the Power of People First Strategy. I'm delighted to see some L&D and HR leaders from our GWS Learning Guild community here today, and thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Before we start, some housekeeping notes here. We kindly request you to keep your cameras on because who doesn't like to see some lovely faces? And please keep yourself on mute to avoid any unexpected background symphonies. We'll be taking any questions that you may have for Karthik in the last 15 minutes of the session. So feel free to jot them down as we go along. Before we dive into today's topic, I am here to share some exciting announcements. We have a special event organized exclusively for our community, GWS Learning Guild, and its members. So mark your calendars for December 21st from 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. for Ignite, Imbibe, Inspire. It's a complimentary in-person meetup that will feature engaging discussions, innovative ideas, along with complimentary breakfast and high tea. Grab this excellent opportunity to connect with a vibrant community of like-minded L&D and HR leaders. And if you haven't registered yet, please check the link in the chat and register now. Believe me, you don't want to miss it. For those who may not be familiar about the GWS Learning Guild, it is a visionary platform designed to equip L&D and HR leaders with the tool and resources necessary to excel in their roles. Today's webinar is actually a testament to our commitment to providing valuable insights and support to our community. So if you know someone who might benefit from joining the community, please share the link for joining this with them. So link coming up in the chat now. Before introducing our esteemed speaker today, I would like to take another moment to highlight our upcoming program, Inner Compass, Empowering Leadership from Within. Now, this is a carefully curated leadership development program. It's a two-day residential leadership development program that draws insights from renowned and vetted sources, including Joanna Barr's Centered Leadership Model, Whitney Johnson's Strengths Finder, Marshall Goldsmith's Self-Limiting Habits as outlined in What Got You Here Won't Get You There, Temperament Exploration Through 4 Elements Framework, Charles Green's Trust Quotient, and many more. To read more and register, check out the link in the chat about this program. Now, let me take time to introduce our esteemed speaker, Karthik Bharadwaj. Karthik is a visionary leader and entrepreneur dedicated to advancing generative AI, precision annotations, and business process management. He leads 2 successful ventures and is at the forefront of innovation and AI-driven services. And virtual assistant solutions too. How can I miss that? Under his guidance, his primary company has tripled its revenue in just 2 years, all while building a dynamic company and a dynamic culture within it. Karthik is also spearheading groundbreaking AI solutions in his latest venture, demonstrating his commitment to advancing technology and empowering industries with AI. So now, without further ado, I'll hand it over to you, Karthik.
Thank you so much, Ishita. To start with, my wife would have felt really happy if she was also part of it by listening so much of, great things about me, which she always, I always prefer somebody to say on my behalf. Nevertheless, jokes apart. Thank you so much, wonderful
We'll
gentlemen
share the
and
recording
women.
with you.
Thank you so much. Very good afternoon, gentlemen and women, in this call. I'm really happy to have all of you here, and I really consider this as a great opportunity to, talk about what I know, what I've been living with in the past 22 years of my professional life, especially about people, because people is something that we always, we have a lot of information keep coming up. We have a lot of experiences that we do particularly in our day-to-day scenario. But apparently, when actually this is more of a kind of a situation where we have a lot of books to read about, we have a lot of information to check about, but still when we actually cross the path on a given scenario, we get stuck with, and we are always get confused to which decision to make. So always the people has been, of late I keep listening a lot of companies saying we want to drive a process driven organization. We want to make it a process driven organization. Uh, Apparently, that is something which always I feel very challenging with, because whatever we do, a process can always change. A process can always be, modified. But only with the help of people is what the success is definitely visible, and that comes with. So let me just start with my brief presentation about what we are trying to, what I am actually trying to convey about the people, whatever that I have understood in my professional career so far. So the very important thing that that I would like to start with is, in my journey in this whole 22 years, whatever that I've been worked with multiple companies, multiple strategic leaders, people, managers, and all that. The one thing that I've always understood is, the more the value that you give to your own people who works for you, in your organization, the more your organization's success is directly related. So with that statement, I do not want to, go ahead with much of a GAN session. I'll get into the topic straight away. So the power of people first strategy. So what I would want to discuss in this is, the first thing is about the introduction. So, a people first strategy will always look at a well-being, development, and engagement of their peer group. So peer group can be your employees, peer group be majorly your employees who are your stakeholders of the company, which can significantly contribute to a company's resilience during financial unstable periods. So why do I specifically talk about financial unstable periods? Is because, being an startup owner or an entrepreneur, the first and foremost thing when I started my business, like say about 3 years back, just because this bug of entrepreneurship started biting me, like say about 4 years back, and it took 1 year to make it reality. And then when I started the company, the one thing that I've realized is, the money, the clients, the process, the operations, everything can only be controlled, only can be, move yourself and your company to a path of successes because of the people. So, the financial instability is the time where, a lot of us, being an entrepreneurs, being the leaders, we go through where, we would definitely want things to be happening the way we visualize it. But unfortunately, this is life where, we always see things do not work. Things definitely work the opposite way we. So that's where the whole challenge starts, and that's where my lot of understanding started going into the business model, understanding how can I make it better every day. With when the scenario is like, I cannot spend more, I cannot invest more, kind of a scenario. So the best thing that I've identified is the investing on the employee. So when I say employee, by investing in employee support, training, communication is what is something that I felt organizations will definitely foster a dedicated workforce that is more adaptable to change, and definitely to be committed to maintain high performance. Any of the challenging circumstances that we come up with, you're getting into a new business model, you're getting into a new geography, you're getting into a new process. Anything that we talk about is majorly can be dealt with having a sustainable and a promising, employee crowd within the company. So what I understood with this is, this approach builds a lot of trust and sense of security among the staff, again, the employees of the company, reducing turnover and maintaining productivity. So yeah, so productivity and turnover, which are quite interrelated, is what something with my use cases that I've been working with have definitely given me a lot of confidence and trust that the more you invest on your employees, the more the returns are going to be sustainable. So which are crucial steady operations when finances are extremely tight. So startup founders, some of us are startup founders who always know that the finances are extremely tight, where you always want to do a lot of things, but you don't know how to do it because of the budget constraints and all that. So one thing that I would like to say is ultimately a people first approach creates a collaborative culture that allows companies to navigate the instability with greater ease and employee driven solution. So definitely, I I being a founder of a company for a small company which is self-funded, where finances are tight. I cannot invest on technology. I cannot invest on, innovative models of doing it. So the best investment that I always thought, which worked for me and which is definitely a successful mantra, is, invest on employees and start driving solutions which are employee based. So moving on to the next slide. So navigating financial uncertainty through a people first strategy. So how do I do that? How did I do that? Or how did I definitely prefer to do that? So when I would definitely take an example of my own company where you know the financial instability was pretty much uh, the tough part that I had to deal with for the first 1.5 year of my journey after starting the company. Because you know when when your dream started becoming true, turning into an entrepreneur, uh, unknowingly there are a lot of challenges also which keep coming up, because there are lot of hidden costs that keep coming. There are a lot of unexpected scenarios which will lead to churn out a lot of your money, business money into it. So this led to a lot of financial instability where you expect the business to take over at a fast pace. You set up a deadlines for yourself. You start looking at an ROE part, but apparently market doesn't react the way how you wanted. And people might, your clients or your aspiring clients might promise you something which definitely doesn't, become a reality at some point of time. So in these scenarios, to meet all these tough decisions that have been made, the first and foremost thing that I thought of, or we thought of as an, businesses, can we try to give a chance by adopting the people first strategy? So when I say people first strategy, let's try to focus more on our employees. Let us try to spend some quality time in developing them, spend some quality time in identifying the right areas that are helpful for the business, at the same time for the people, that can be more of an win-win scenarios for the company as well as the employees of the company. So, this started giving more of an insight for us as an organization, or particularly for me, saying like, people are the best investment that as an entrepreneur that I can think of at any given point of time, because they are the ones who is going to make sure that we run the business successfully, be the face of the company, take up the ownership, start driving the results that can give happy smiles on customer faces. So how we thought of doing it, and how the financial uncertainty could be we could try to overcome as basically by the workforce, focusing on the workforce to help navigate through tough times. Now there are a lot of challenges that we start, because you know the line of business that we opted to work more on is something which I have been living with for almost 4 or 5 years before starting the company. But apparently, the same level of knowledge transfer, same level of engagement, same level of confidence to the people was something which was definitely challenging initially, where people thought this is going to be something like a rocket science, Greek and Latin, that they were not able to understand what we were trying to do, and that's why we had a lot of attritions happening, a lot of knowledge gaps happening, a lot of dissatisfactions coming from clients saying like we were not able to be up to the mark with their expectations and all that. So over a period of time, once we, I'm sorry, once we started going more into it, that's when I understood like, you know, this specific part of focusing on people is very crucial for a business owner like me with a small business model of mine to make sure that we be in the business and we create a footprint. So that's where the strategy, setting a strong foundation for the future success, started shaping it by looking more and more people-centric approaches started coming up. So what did we do? As assessed essential skills for our own startup success. So definitely the model of the business, the approach that is needed. How do we have to be more customer centric? How do we develop a strategy to adopt to the client requirements as and when they start coming up, especially when they are dynamic in nature? And how do engaging teams to identify improvement areas? So it's more of an self-analysis, more of an introspection, helping people to make them comfortable to understand about themselves more and try to, you know, understand about what they are really good with. Something like a brief SWOT analysis, I would say. Like I am good at, somebody is good at really drafting emails. Somebody is really good at, making, doing a cost benefit analysis. Somebody is really good at managing the operation. Somebody is really good at, talking to the customers in a very, pleasant tone and pleasant way of conveying information. So identify which of these areas, I mean, that our business need are, and within the existing team, how very crucially to check who is good at what, and then align training with the business needs, enhancing agility. So now the moment I felt like ABC are good with certain things, now focus more on it, try to motivate them to be into the similar kind of a requirements, try to make sure that you push them and you hold their hand tight to make sure that they also start feeling comfortable to learn it. Especially more than learning, the unlearning process was very critical, because for a human being the unlearning becomes very challenging. So that's where you I feel like keeping people first strategies and being with them, motivating them, and making giving that assurance to them that business is always there with them was kind of some of the tips that I have learned uh, by trying it with the team that was available.
Karthik, before you move to the next slide,
Please.
a question that popped up in the chat. I
I'm
wanted to
sorry.
read it out for
Yeah,
you. Don't
yeah,
worry,
please.
I am going to read it out for you. Shanti Sharma says, as a business owner in a small startup, you have control over many aspects and a clear understanding of spends and costs. What recommendation would you offer to people leaders in large corporation who may lack that level of visibility and often driven by tight deadlines and timelines? Second question here within the chat is, how can you prioritize keeping people first, uh, especially when they are held accountable for delays or quality issues for large
Perfect.
organizations?
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yes, Shanti. So, I'll start with your first question. I definitely agree. Being a business owner for a small startup, I have the privilege to, know end to end how things work and how cost impacts, and, how am I spending money, where I clearly can have a cut on, whatever that need to, I mean, whichever is can take the, second priority as it. But, yeah, large corporations definitely do not have such a kind of visibility in terms of costing, but, you know, may not be costing is directly something that every day or every minute that even as a small startup owner I keep looking at. But you can start looking, you can definitely start developing that sense of where things are going right, where things are going wrong. And when you start keeping your prioritizing your people over everything else, what the best thing happens is, even if you don't really look at the cost and the spending part for at least some point of time, you can majorly from an organization level, you can see the change, which is very clearly visible in terms of your client satisfaction, in terms of your engagement with client. Your client comes back and says, hey, you know what, I need another 10 more people to start working on some of these engagements. Or your client comes back and says, hey, you know what, I have another project to start with, do you think you have a bandwidth with? So these all factors maybe are the, when we're talking about large corporations where everybody doesn't have an access to what is the cost impact and cost benefit analysis. But these all elements will make you understand that the more you're people centric, the more your people are able to achieve results, there is a direct visibility of the results which are happening on a day-to-day basis. I hope I've answered your first question.
Yes.
So yeah, if I'm moving on to the second question, how can they prioritize keeping people first, especially when they exactly this quality issues, the accountability of the people. And I really don't think there is a major difference if you are running a small startup or a large corporation, because ultimately quality is quality. And everybody expects their work to be completed with 100% of the quality and efficiency, right? But to answer your question over there, the accountability comes, or accountability can be imbibed into your peer group, into the team, only once when you start giving them that freedom to take risks, do things the different way. Or if you have that, if you let your team to be free enough to engage into the relation with client in a much more innovative way. Why I say this is because the moment you start doing a extreme micromanagement and managing the quality, and when you start making people feel that being accountable is more of a responsibility, or I would say more of a liability than a responsibility, then people starts getting shaken down. Now when you tell them, like, this is your ball, I mean, this is one thing that one of my previous managers used to tell, which I definitely learned it from him. Whenever we have a new project or a new client or a new assignment to work on, so whenever he used to get us into the meeting, start talking about it, the one thing that he used to say, Karthik, whatever you do, you feel you are the CEO of it, you are the owner of it. The moment you start feeling you are the owner of it, you start gaining that innovative thinking and the courage to do the things the way you want it. And you don't have that fear of losing something or fear of failure, right? That way, when you start doing it, definitely, even if people do some mistakes, some disasters might happen, but still, you can always, the more you have the trust on your people, things will definitely come back. Thank you so much, Shanti. Thanks for the question. So can I go ahead?
Yes, Karthik, please.
Perfect. Thank you. So again, I keep talking about budgets, I keep talking about cost, I keep talking about money, because these are the major challenges that any business owner, for that matter, being a small time startup company owner, will always look at. Let it be you be into technology, you be into services, you be into consultancy, whatever it is. Ultimately, the structure, the way you have the people, the way you let people do the job in an innovative way is definitely going to yield result, is what I understood. Being into the both sides of the business model, which is services and technology. So creating learning opportunities on a bootstrapping budget. So, these learning steps, these small steps that I'm talking about, doesn't majorly need lot of money to be spent. It is all about how do you look at the chances of it, and how do you, make sure that these these ways of implementation are very closely monitored. So the first thing is the innovative training programs. Thanks to the technology, there are wonderful training programs, wonderful, online, training assessments, training activities that keep happening everywhere. You talk about LinkedIn, you talk about any other learning platforms. You have loads and loads to do it with no extra cost attached, and even a cost attached that's going to be bare minimum. So these training online resources is what we have majorly leveraged on and utilized internal expertise to create effective learning opportunities without significant financial outlay. Now, we started developing a lot of training models on, but especially onto the core job that the people do. Like, let's talk about my services based company where most of our clients are into machine learning and computer vision. So, we started looking more at how can we develop the skills internally. There have been people who have been with similar kind of, work nature for almost 5, 6 years. The only thing is you have to relieve with what they are doing, make them, try thinking innovatively to come up with the training programs that can help another, bunch of people in a much more, efficient way. So this is what we started doing. And, as I already told you, the online resources, online, training programs is what we started implementing more and more in the organization. And cost effective methods. So initiatives like, there are wonderful people, there are a lot of people, who are experienced market leaders, who are experienced people leaders, who keep doing a lot of, webinars. They keep mentoring the, people, employees from the organization, make them understand what is needed and how do you plan. I mean, this can be a very simple thing, like, how do you plan your day, how do you effectively communicate, how do you manage an escalation. These things might sound very, very basic for us, but, there are a lot of people who definitely try to learn these things. So we started connecting with more and more, market leaders by networking, and started requesting them to do webinar for our people and all that. And definitely the other thing is, when you have an experienced crowd within the company, probably, your managers, your ops heads, your trainers and all that. So peer mentoring is one more thing. You identify, you see a person, you feel that the person is having a lot of potential. Only thing is the mentoring is what is missing. Then we spend our time, we at least have, you know around 4 to 5 hours a week to spend on mentoring the folks around, making them, coming up with the more structured training and mentoring program activities that are led by managers and all that. So this helped us, and the outcome has been extremely wonderful. The approach ensured continuous learning while, there's not of much money that need to be spent on it. So fostering a culture. So, if I am trying to get a little more in depth of it, so how do the fostering a culture of continuous learning? So, we always keep encouraging the employees to seek knowledge. So we fostered an environment where employees were encouraged to seek out new knowledge and share insights, because it's like, the job, the work that they do might be similar for, let's say, 100 people, but there are 5 people who do it in a different way. and who do it in a much more effective and probably with a rich quality. So let us try to bring them on board, try them to explain what they are doing and how they are doing it and what is the different way that they have been thinking. So this helped us more and more, making sure that people share the knowledge, gain with each other's expertise. So definitely, this followed with the recognition programs, and recognition is the best motivation factor for any employees in the organization. So we implemented recognition initiatives for employees, so who have been constantly looking for trainings, completing the trainings, identifying the opportunities to mentor the peer group, who have been fostering motivation and engagement, who have been constantly engaged with people, trying to, as apart from their job, who had this, zeal to do it and all that. So we always started bringing up some recognitions for these people, started, making them the employee of the month, making them the employee of the week, started putting it on our newsletters, in our HRMS, that these are the people who have been doing great job. Significantly, these are the ways that they've been improving, which definitely boosted their skills as well as their motivation to keep doing it again and again. So this again has the continuous the outcome that we have been seeing on this is culture of continuous learning empowered our team, enhancing job satisfaction, and the very best part of it is retention. So when you have people getting an opportunity to do something new in an innovative way, the employee retention becomes significantly high. As this is something that we have constantly observed in our organization culture. Yeah, so moving on to the next thing, balancing immediate skills needs with long-term development. Yeah, so definitely this is one of the major challenges that small startup company that like mine would definitely have to deal with is only because you know the model is so dynamic, and we want people to generate results from the very next day. We don't want people to sit. We don't want to people try to understand the problem statement much deeper. We want something to start happening instantly, because that's where the revenue flow starts. But from the business point of view, I mean, this is something that I also used to do initially. But over a period of time, there's something that I've understood is, let us bifurcate this into two. One, we will try to make it what are the immediate skills that are needed to do your job. And based on the individual, what is the long-term development plan that I can think for him or her? When I classify it, there wouldn't be any overlap, there wouldn't be any stress on making things happen. So let's say I have my employees working for about 40 hours a week. I just want them to keep about 10% of it aside for their long-term development, and 90% of it would definitely be focused on immediate skill needs, which is definitely needed for the business to serve. So that we will make sure that 10% of the time that we have kept aside for the long-term development of the employee, we make sure we give 100% for it. Let it be me, my business leaders, or the managers, whoever the people are responsible directly for it. They spend time, they sit with them, they make them understand what do they need, and whatever the skills that we have identified in these people that are definitely going to be helpful for them as individuals and for us also as business, is what we make sure to start tapping more on it. And definitely once we start reaching out to about like 3 to 4 weeks of this, I would say 4 hours every week time that they have been spent, we started giving them an opportunity to showcase what they have learned from this mentorship and the training programs. Now, let's say I'll give you a very basic example. I've identified one of my, you know, fresher who's joined us as an, associate. we have identified that he have a very strong English written skills. Now, that 4 hours every week we spend with them, we try to give them a more of insight about how our business communication happens, what is needed in it, how do we rightly frame it, how do we rightly understand the email from the customer, how do we make sure that we convey it the right way to the team. So once we start doing this for 3 to 4 weeks of time, we would in the next week we would try to take a very extremely live scenario where an email comes up or an escalation happens. We ask them to sit with us and we make them write the draft of the email. We make them to understand the use case what has been explained on the email, or we would tell them to definitely considering this scenario, how do they want to immediately cascade the information to the immediate team. So these are the ways that we try to understand, analyze the skills development that is happening for the long term. And this phase goes on and on for the people who, I mean, based on their specific, skill set that they want to develop or they have the urge to develop, or what we have identified in the person that in the span of working with them. So as I told you, I've put it on the slide also the same thing. So identify the skill gaps, what the gaps that critical gaps for success and growth and training. You create a flexible training programs for both current needs are basically you get through the process knowledge, you get through sit with the senior folks, you sit with the subject matter experts, learn them, take an assessment on them and keep improving. And future needs as what I have explained so far. So this, what is that outcome that we have observed by doing all this? The balance ensure that we remain competitive. At the same time, we are investing our time and effort on the workforce future. So we also, after 6 months down the line, they also have a confidence on what they have been learning instead of their regular routine work that they have been doing, which is also very critical. But apart from that, what is that extra that they are able to manage to learn in this period of time? So next thing is leveraging cross-functional training for a versatile workforce. Of course, getting into a service business, getting into the model where you in today's world you have to be a jack of all. Nobody is asking you to be a master of anything, but you need to know everything that has been happening in and around you. So this is where we focus more on leveraging cross-functional training for a definitely a versatile workforce. So this may not be only with the different types of processes. This is also with the different types of roles. Now, as an associate, you have a different responsibility. As a quality analyst, you have a different responsibility. As a subject matter expert, as a team lead, as an operations manager, everybody have their own responsibilities, which are quite diversified with the other role. So we encourage to explore the other roles also is what something that we started doing. Now, I cannot definitely, ask an associate to go sit and learn what an ops manager does. But yes, certainly, you give that flexibility for an associate to sit with the quality analyst, understand how they do, what is their core responsibility, and how have they become so best in identifying the mistakes that are happening from the associates. So this way they will start looking futuristically of becoming a quality analyst and what are the skills that are needed that they should be learning to grow to become to that level. The same way from QA to subject matter expert and goes on. So employees were encouraged to learn about roles outside their own enhancement, their versatility and adaptability is what something that we started, looking more as an opportunity. This also helped us, giving that route map to the employees, telling them, if you start looking at more of these role explorations, so this is where you can see yourself in the next 1 year, 2 years time. kind of a thing. And what helped us and what are the benefits that we have gained with this? Probably initially may not be nothing, but 6 months to 1 year down the line, you see a multi-skilled workforce enabled us to reduce operational risks. Now, some of them, God forbid, and nothing should happen. Somebody leaves the company, somebody have a very, urgent scenario where they cannot be in office for 15, 20 days, or, they might have some other project which is extremely crucial and working on it, so they cannot work on certain new engagements that have come up. So this approach of role exploration helped us to develop a multi-skilled workforce. So somebody can definitely be a associate, can also do a QA, and an SME can also lead the team in terms of internal, internal communication and other things. A team lead can also be a backup for your operations manager in managing the client communication. So this reduced operational risks and also the business continuity plan, where you really don't have to wait for the person to come back, or you really don't have to you know make the person understand the scenario and all that when they have already been exposed to these kind of roles much in advance. The transition has become very easy for us. So the outcome that we have seen is cross-functional training resulted in increased employee engagement and collaboration. So they see a bigger picture. They see a lot more, growth opportunities coming in. So the engagement and collaboration started becoming stronger and stronger with that. Now, moving on to my very important element that I always keep talking about as impact of this first people first strategy on the financial stability. How did this help for us? Right? You know, our data showed a significant improvement in productivity and employee satisfaction post implementation. May not be immediately, but over a period of time. Because everybody started owning on what they are doing. Everybody started getting inspired with what the peers are doing. Everybody started having this mentorship programs happening very constantly. Everybody started looking at a bigger picture with the growth map being designed accordingly. So this started giving a significant improvement for us. And definitely cost efficiency, because you are investing in your own workforce who is going to start developing more and more based on the need. And this will help us to retain them. This will help us to make them grow within the organization. And definitely, getting somebody from outside with a, much more bigger budget is can clearly be avoided. And you can start looking at your own employees moving on to the next level, becoming a people leaders, becoming process leaders. And this would definitely start giving an impact in cost saving there. And feedback from leadership team and team members started identifying the positive change in the morale and performance of the people, of the employees, where, the moment you start building that relation with your manager or your manager's manager, started looking at more of an, opportunity that can help you grow as an individual. And when these feedbacks have been, you know, rightly followed and implemented, where I really don't have to, look at investing more and more in redoing anything, or losing a client, or, developing an, unhealthy relation with client. So these all steps started getting minimized day by day. And this definitely helped us in making the organization more financially stable. So I can list down, I can bring in another 10 more onto the sheet, but I just want to talk about more of the bullseye points that I personally have observed because of it. So, your strong teamwork. The teamwork has started becoming stronger and stronger day by day, because everybody started looking at considering each other, uh, a helping peer group member, started mentoring each other, started suggesting each other, started looking at a bigger picture for each other. So that helped us developing a stronger teamwork and higher resilience worker and the team becoming more better and better day by day in handling the stress and adapting to challenges, especially during the tough times. When you have a supporting hand, when somebody else also is with the similar kind of a knowledge that you have, similar kind of exposure that you have towards handling the stressful situations or the tough times, right? Then the you know your efficiency start growing more and your confidence start becoming more. So this directly improved on the company culture. So the supportive environment which fostered trust and loyalty, and attrition started becoming reducing on a very larger scale. So I can very proudly say, even my company is about close to 3 years old. I have almost, I would say, 50% of the employee crowd who have been with us for more than 2 years. So that marks as definitely an achievement for us as a company because of implementing this people first strategy in the organization. Attraction and retention of talent. So this started giving the attraction of the talent. So you make people, bring them to the limelight, showcase them the way they have been doing the job. Start awarding them, rewarding them. All this started helping, and also at the same time started becoming an attractive factors for others who also want to you know do something differently and start want to get recognized within the organization. So better customer satisfaction, obviously, happy employee leads to happy customer. So there's no second thought about it. That's why, whatever we are today, starting a company with 3 employees 3 years back, and today a team of 110 people, and the number goes on. We have another 30, 40 people getting onboarded in next couple of weeks. So this is straight, a direct proportion of the happy employees making bringing in happy customers, and happy customers referring another customer, and the business growth. And definitely the long-term financial growth. While the benefit may not be immediate, the people first approach always often leads to better financial performance over time due to increased productivity and efficiency, which is directly a significant change that I have observed. Because for the first year of our business, we were at a situation where we were we have incurred almost, I would say, 28% of losses. But when we closed our second year recently and moving into, sorry, third year recently, the business has transformed to profit, and we are at 14% of profit by end of third year. So this is where I see a clear strategical movement which has happened by making sure that people have been, people first strategy has helped us a lot. Definitely, there are always lessons to learn, and this also I can keep on and on. But to cut it short, what are the lessons that we have learned as communication? So build the trust by keeping the communication transparent. I know some of the, not everything, but whatever can be kept communicate transparent, whatever the information can be kept transparent, whatever the people as an employee of the organization have the right to know, we always kept it transparent. And always think of invest and think of well-being of your employee, mental health, wellness program. Try to spend some time, give them some easy days on Saturdays, do some fun creative activities, be with them in their tough times in a personal life, hold their hand, tell them that we as an organization are always there, boost their productivity, boost their morale. And always when you start doing these small things, this investment definitely pays off. And develop the flexibility in terms of work arrangements. We know nowadays we always prefer to keep, since business models today for a small startup companies like us would want employees to be at office, make sure, because We invest a lot into the infrastructure. We want employees to sit and work from office, and we also want employees to, make sure that everything is rightly. But be empathetic in making these decisions. Sometimes some of the scenarios might come up which are one-off. You start developing that flexible work arrangements, which can improve their work-life balance, improve the employee satisfaction, and this is definitely going to help. And these employees are the ones who's going to hold you tight in the times where your financial stress is more as an organization. And lastly, encouraging collaboration. As I rightly said before, creating cross-functional teams promotes collaboration. Start giving that environment to, free thought process for the people. Let them go sit with anybody they want, learn what they want to learn, understand what they want to. Of course, there are certain constraints which at a business level we have to create, but try to, make sure give opportunity for everyone in the organization to understand what they are good at and give them an opportunity to work and prove themselves at what they are best at. So, lastly, I would like to talk about the best practices that have helped us uh, to do all this and to make sure that we implement this people first strategy more effectively and started looking at more and more as a visionary leaders try bringing this up for as the organization grows. So the regular feedback mechanisms is what something which we have started implementing, which is the one of the best practices that we've been doing. Regular check-ins and surveys to gauge employee sentiment and gather feedback. If employee says this is something which I really want, not happy with, then there is a lot of scope for the management team to introspect, understand. There are some of these, I would say silly suggestions that keep coming up, but at a management level, you understand what is actually a real problem that the people want to address, and what is the feedback that they are trying to give, and try to this information guide adjustments to strategies and support. So the regular feedback mechanism, I have kept myself open to listen to the feedback, let it be bad or worst, and help me to you know develop myself, change myself, and you know bring in these implementations that can make everybody's life easier. And skill development opportunities, focus on training and development initiatives that equip employees with critical skills that are needed, which can directly help the individuals and also can be a very big support for organization. Like say, you have somebody who has come with your, you know, probably commerce or an accounts background, give them an opportunity to learn more, practice more, understand more about accounts and finances of the company. At some point of time, you really don't have to hire a, probably a practicing accountant with a huge packages, rather than there is someone within the organization who works much more effectively than those people. And we have a lot of use cases in this within the organization. This not only enhances individual capabilities, but also strengthens the team performance. Team as in the company's performance. Now, recognize and reward contributions. Never hesitate to recognize and reward the people who have been doing the hard work. Acknowledge the hard work and contribution of employees, especially during the challenging times where you have an extended hours being happening, when you have people who have to log in on the weekends also to make sure to meet the deadlines and all that. Don't try to sit back and finally look for the result that client is satisfied, because the client satisfaction is directly proportionate to these people who have been putting their efforts and making sure that the results are delivered at the best. Build a strong support network, encourage mentorship, peer support systems within the organization. This fosters a sense of community and helps employees to feel more connected. Right? When you start developing that peer group mentorship, believe me, this really have been. I've seen multiple cases in my organizations where people from an associate level have grown to the level of leads within a short span of 2 years because they have showcased really that commitment to the job, and when they have been rightly handholded and started getting mentored, they've been doing miracles in the company. So with this, I have come to an end of my session. So now I just want to keep the floor open for questions and answers, and anything that you want to ask, please feel free to take it up. And I would definitely answer to the best of my ability.
Karthik, there is a question in the chat. Though you have answered that question, but then we still want to read it out for you just in case you want to add anything else. So the question says, what apart from the training and development and the reward and recognition, hand holding the employees that you have mentioned in the webinar, what apart from these are also a part of your people first strategy?
Yeah, so the first and foremost thing, as I mentioned, transparency is the very important thing, that very important element of our people first strategy. So they know how business is performing, they know what the client want, they know where we are lacking, and they know where we need that strong commitment towards the client. And definitely, as you said, training and development, mentorship is more, more than training and development. I would prefer to call it as mentorship, is only because there are lot of uh, elements which are written between the lines, which need to be developed first. And this can only help with mentorship. And especially, it is not like, make them sit in the training sessions for hours together, give them, the GAN sessions that are needed. But apart from that, put them into a real-time scenario, make them understand what you are doing, and expect them to follow the similar way of doing it. Or if they are really innovative enough, try it in a different way and try to do it to make sure that, we give them an opportunity to be innovative, and try at the same time, we make them understand the rules of game, what has to be done. So, these are the things that we have always been, practicing in our people first strategy. And yeah, rewards and recognitions, I know, definitely should be there, because whatever the learning I do, whatever the implementation I do, if as an employee, I always want somebody to be behind me, tap on my back and say, Karthik, you have done a wonderful job.
Thank you, Karthik.
Thank you so much.
So the floor is open for question and answers. If you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question to Karthik, or you can also write in the chat box, whatever suits you the best.
Thank you, Karthik, for that insightful session. I have a question specifically with regard to the people first strategy during tough times. Yeah, so when the business is doing well, all this is totally understandable, where we tend to give importance to employees, offer them enough support, mentoring, training, and all of those required assistance. When the business is not doing extremely well, when we are in a challenging situation, the reality is organizations will tend to focus on profitability, or to be specific, cost reduction. And the easiest and the most uh, simplest way, or rather what the organizations tend to do, is reduce people costs. Yeah. What would you suggest in these circumstances, especially during tough times? How would an organization ensure that their people are taken care of, considering that resources are limited and they would not be able to engage in a full-fledged uh, people development or people engagement initiative?
Yeah, thank you so much, Vaishnavi. That's the one of the best questions that I would always love to answer because these are the phases which we started with over a period of time. Only by practicing the people first strategy we could come up to the comfortable scenarios now. You know, all the time business will have some or other challenges coming up. There is not even a, I would say, even today. There's not even a single day I would say, we've been doing a fantastic job. There are always, gaps in, client expectations versus deliverables. And if it is going well on one side of the business, there would be somewhere an impact which is happening in the other side, right? You look at operations going smooth, you always see financial issues happening. And if your operations and finance is going well, you see there are a lot of issues with the clients coming up, right? These are definitely the part of business that keep coming in, right? Now, the only thing that I always think is like your profitability has been not so great, or I would say, I would take an extreme step to say you're not even you're not even making profits, but you have a lot of your team members, and who are still trying to learn, who are still trying to engage, who are still trying to cope up with the business needs and all that. As a business owner, definitely, I think money matters, but the reason why we have some of us have become the business owners is only because if it is only for the money, we would have been very happy with our jobs. The jobs that we were doing were making much more better money than to be very honest, as an entrepreneur, whatever that even in the third year that I'm making is much more lesser than what I was trying as an. But it is not only about the money that we are into. There's a lot of satisfaction that comes in when you on a typical given day, the moment you step into your operations floor and you see 110 people working together, that satisfaction is priceless, right? And to manage the issues coming up with quality, to manage the issues coming up with profitability, these all cannot be something that you have a solution overnight. There has to be a lot of efforts that has to go into it. There has to be a lot of root cause analysis that has to happen. And I believe let's stop blaming people for it, right? It is not that everything goes wrong only with people, because the best results are always delivered by people, right? You identify where the problem is actually happening and try to minimize the problem that is happening at that place. A replacement of people, or making people feel that you're not right fit for the job, is not going to solve the problem, or not going to make my company a profitable company immediately. Instead, if I focus on the person, try to understand what is that he or she is good at, or the whole community of the group, I would divide them and try understanding why they are not able to perform, what is leading to the losses at business, and where I can implement certain steps, which can also be certain things that I would very firmly want to say, which I have implemented in my organization. Like, there are a couple of projects where whatever the best that you do, they're still not turning out to be healthy, right? We did all the experiments, we did all the tries that trial and error methodologies that we could do, but the business, that the particular projects are not turning out to be healthy. So definitely let us accept that we are not capable of doing it, right? So it is not people. So as an organization, we are not capable of. So let's go back to client. We went back to these scenarios to client and we told them that, this is not something that we are good at. So definitely, please take it back, hand it over to someone who's really good in doing it, right? I cannot keep on penalizing my people. I cannot keep on showing my finger to the people and saying, hey, you know what? Because of you, I'm not making profits. No, there is something which is wrong. I have been trying to be a horse. Now I don't expect me to do a job of a donkey, right? There is some similarity mismatch which is happening. So identify it and find the root cause of it. And, there are some hard decisions which might also have to, because, in the long term, you are losing the confidence of people. People are getting demotivated, which might lead to attrition, which again lead to, in even more losing on profits because of it. So instead of doing all this, give back the business, tell customers this is not something that we do. Hold your people tight, tell them, you know what, this is not a mistake of yours. We all together did this. So don't worry, we will make sure that we will do it in a way. So these are things which definitely help us in making sure that, profitability is being sustained, and also at the same time we also have the people be with us with the same level of confidence and moral.
Thank you, Karthik, for answering that very wonderfully.
Thank you, Shita.
Could sense that transparency not just for your employees but also for your clients. Uh, that's in and out theory that stands true for all. Wonderful.
Very true.
Any other questions or any takeaways or anything that you found very valuable that you're going to take it back with you after this webinar? Please unmute yourself and share it with us, please.
Thank you, Karthik. I just wanted to say it's not easy to be vulnerable and share with an audience what and how you are putting people first in your organization. It's always difficult, and people in your organization themselves can question. So firstly, kudos to you for having the courage to talk about it and sharing the lessons learned. Truly appreciate.
Thank you so much, Shanti.
There are no further questions. Okay. Wrap it up, I think, Shita.
Yeah, all right. Thank you very much for your time. I think, Karthik, you have something else to mention
No,
here?
no. It was just a conclusion. It was actually not mine. I've copied it from somewhere else. So I thought, this is worth of saying. So I really don't have to read it. It is self-explanatory. So just for all of us who are more into people management, so who invest a lot of our time and efforts into teams or people, I would say.
Before we wrap it up, I want to share a very personal experience that I had. I was very fortunate to work in one of the people first people managers under a company who also used to keep their focus on like that. And it really means a lot to work in an organization where people are considered as not just resources, but as human. It not just make you a better version of yourself, it also allows you to experiment, to learn more, to grow more, not just for the organization, for yourself, but for your team as well. So yes, that's my experience working in a people first environment. Thank you very much for the lovely session, Karthik, and share your own experiences that you have had running two enterprises yourself. Thank you so much,
Ishita. I definitely would like to thank you, thank the team, and definitely want to, really be extremely grateful for having this opportunity. Uh, Definitely, Grow with Satori is a wonderful place because I've been associated with them for quite some time, and all the women who are there, you really deserve a great applause for managing it successfully and making sure that you all are always highly charged and do this restlessly.
Thank you so much, Karthik. There are very strong men standing right behind us too. So know that, yes, we women are the face here in Grow with Satori, but there are some amazing women backing us up very, very, very strongly. Thank you.
I'm really honored to be here today.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Deepa gives us a thumbs up, and we'll all see you there
Thank
in
you
the
so
next
much.
session.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much. Bye-bye.